Welcome to the program. After years of controversy, an attempt by opposition leader Tony Abbott to overturn Queensland's wild rivers legislation failed in federal parliament a week ago, with Labor referring the matter to a committee. But the controversial laws continue to polarise the community. The environment movement says the Wild Rivers Act sets a new benchmark for wilderness protection, while some in the Indigenous community describe it as a new form of colonialism. The Queensland government has argued the laws haven't stopped any major development, but that claim is now being put to the test in a battle over a new bauxite mine on Cape York Peninsula. From far north Queensland, Peter McCutcheon reports.
The Wenlock River on Cape York Peninsula is one of the most remote and pristine rivers in Australia, if not the world. Its natural beauty and environmental value is not in dispute. But Queensland's wild rivers legislation, placing stringent controls over use of surrounding land, certainly is.
This legislation impedes development and cuts off a future for Aboriginal communities.
It actually provides certainty for decision making in terms of what is appropriate development in these areas.
Queensland's strict environmental laws, introduced 5 years ago, are facing their biggest test, with the potential collapse of a major project in a region desperate for economic development.
The project has been seriously jeopardised and has a high possibility that it will be uneconomic in any form.
Dr. Paul Messenger is the Managing Director of Cape Alumina, a company listed on the Australian Stock Exchange in 2009 and backed by one of China's largest aluminium producers. The 7:30 report accompanied Dr. Messenger on a trip to the Pisolite Hills bauxite exploration lease on Cape York.
It's a sizeable deposit and it's sufficient to sustain a mining operation for 15 years at full production of 7 million tonnes per annum. So it would make Cape Alumina one of the 10 largest bauxite producers in the world.
Although the proposed bauxite mine would be in open woodland at least several kilometres away from the Wenlock River, the project is within the catchment of this remote waterway. And so under Queensland's Wild Rivers legislation, it is subject to some of the toughest environmental laws in the country.
We're talking about some of our last remaining pristine river systems. Once they're gone, they're gone. You never get them back.
The most environmentally sensitive part bordering this mine project are these freshwater springs known as the Coolabah Springs Complex. They lie just below the bauxite plateau and play a vital role in maintaining these small pockets of rainforest that stretch from east to west across Cape York.
They're of really great ecological significance. There's a whole range of rare and threatened plant species and wildlife species.
Most of these springs lie within a pastoral lease owned by Australia Zoo. Zoo owner Terry Irwin and her family, along with the Wilderness Society, have been leading the campaign against mining.
While I believe we need mining, and I understand the need for it, I just don't think we need to mine the most delicate, fragile areas on the planet.
It's one of the most terrible things, and I just think it's the worst thing ever. I really don't like it.
Australia Zoo Ranger Barry Lyons showed the 7:30 report around the property and explained how he believed bauxite mining could destroy an environmental wonder.
We risk losing the special Coolabah Springs because they're rejuvenated by rainfall that falls across that bauxite plateau. We're really worried taking the bauxite away we'll lose that recharging ability, so the springs may die.
Cape Alumina disputes this claim, as does an independent consultant commissioned by Queensland's Environment Department. The consultant concluded that on the evidence so far,
bauxite mining as proposed will have relatively little impact on the groundwater hydrology of the springs.
Cape Alumina wanted its operation to be at least 200 metres away from the springs. The Queensland Mines Department recommended the buffer zone be at least 300 metres. But the Minister, Stephen Robertson, decided to set the figure at 500 metres. Your department recommended a buffer zone of at least 300 metres around Coolabah Springs. Why did you personally add another 200 metres to that buffer zone?
simply by taking the precautionary approach. It was only after I actually travelled to the Wenlock myself. It was only then that I gained a real appreciation of the scale and type of environment that was seeking Wild River declaration.
Cape Alumina says this arbitrary buffer zone has in effect locked away around 20 million tonnes of bauxite on the basis of no scientific evidence.
It's effectively rendered inaccessible a substantial portion of the resource that we've defined. At least 38% of the resource is not now mineable.
But this dispute is not only about the environment.
We've been too long in the fight for land rights for it to be lost overnight like this.
Noel Pearson has been campaigning for years against the Wild Rivers legislation on the grounds that it disenfranchised Indigenous people. And in the Mapoon and Weipa regions of Cape York, many Indigenous people echo his sentiments and would like to see the bauxite mine go ahead.
Community is suffering, eh? It's about time we make a decision for ourselves. It's not the government come and tell us what to do.
Why Wild Rivers want to tell us what to do? The Wenlock was there for years, and Wenlock will be there forever.
So you think the mine can go ahead and the springs will still be protected?
The spring can be protected if we all work together.
Lily York is one of the traditional owners of the land covered by the proposed bauxite mine.
My opinion, I think the mine, it will give us a great benefit for our future, for our children and our children to come.
At least one traditional owner of the Springs complex is opposed to the mine, as is David Claudie, whose traditional lands are in the Wenlock Basin and who took the fight to Canberra last week.
If the mine's going to come in, they're going to take everything from the surface, such as a bauxite mine, right? Then where are the animals going to live? It's all about money, 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 you know, big money, big dollars.
Despite these differences, Cape Alumina says most people in the nearby community of Mapoon are in favour of mining, and the local mayor agrees.
If you could have come here 18 months, 2 years ago, most people thought it was a bad idea, but in that 18 months there has been a significant shift from anti-mining to pro-mining. And
why do people support the mine?
Because of the jobs.
The Queensland government says its Wild Rivers legislation has struck the right balance between development, the environment and Indigenous rights. That ambitious claim is now being put to the test.
We, poor blackfellas, wants to make the right, traditional owners make the right decision for ourselves. The government comes and overrules us and takes that right away from us.
Not everything we do has 100% support, but there are also a lot of people that don't believe that mining close to a river system or close to those pisolite springs is appropriate.
Peter McCutcheon with that report from Cape York.